Yesterday we were thinking about keeping in step with the Holy Spirit, and we used the image of a sort of a pace setter in a race. And the reality is that the Holy Spirit is always going to move faster and further than me. So how can I keep in step with the Holy Spirit? Well, today I'd love us to look at what it is to be clothed with power, to be baptized by the Holy Spirit. In Acts chapter 1 and verse 4, we have these words from Jesus. "Do not leave Jerusalem, but wait for the gift my Father has promised, which you've heard me speak about. For John baptized with water, but in a few days you will be baptized with the Holy Spirit." So when they met together, they asked him, "Lord, are you at this time going to restore the kingdom to Israel?" And he said to them, "It is not for you to know the times or dates the Father has set by his own authority, but you will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes on you, and you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem and in Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the earth." You will receive power. That word receive, and think about that again today. You'll receive power when the Holy Spirit comes on you, so that you'll be able to go to Jerusalem, a place that you know and like, Judea, a place that you know but don't like, Samaria, a place that you neither know nor like yet, the ends of the earth, in the power of the Spirit, to be my witnesses. When you think about when Jesus said these words, he stood on a mountain with 11 people. You're going to go to the ends of the earth. And here we sit now, 2,000 odd years later, and Jesus' message has reached us here in Wales and has gone to the ends of the earth because of, driven by, fueled by the power of the Holy Spirit. The word that's used there in the Greek, dunamis, is where we get our word dynamo from, or dynamic, or dynamite. It's a word that means just the strength to do something, but also the authority and the ability of something. And that's what we're promised as we're sent by Jesus. Power, clothed with power. And that's the image that's being used here. Just like in baptism, in water baptism, as we're put into the water, and the water kind of wraps itself around us and envelops us. It's like Paul describes it this way, doesn't he, in Colossians, that we're being clothed with Christ. Here we're promised that we will be baptized into the Holy Spirit, plunged into the life and the power of the Holy Spirit until it envelops us, till it clothes us with that strength, that authority and that ability that can only come and does only come from him. Yeah, I've been so aware as we've journeyed together over the last few days, diving into various different scriptures, that sometimes when we seek to put it on like armour, when we seek to wear it, it's not always easy. The what is fairly straightforward. The so what. I hope these things are helpful. But it's always the now what, isn't it? Where the rubber hits the road. What does this mean for me? That's where we need daily reminders. That's where we struggle, all of us. And maybe for some of us, as we've sought to follow Jesus through our lives, and as we've sought to live like him in this world, and to bring his love and his grace and his truth into a situation, it's not always well received. People sometimes just don't get it. Other people don't want to get it. Other times it's just a struggle. And added to that, there's a spiritual dynamic. The devil does not want you stepping out into the kingdom. He does not want you growing in authority. He knows the power of the Holy Spirit, and he doesn't want you to use it. And so he will constantly distract you and discourage you. And so there's a spiritual battle as well as a personal battle, and a sort of a natural battle going on around all of this. And sometimes, I don't know about you, but it feels like your prayer life is a bit of a stuck record. I can't do this. It's not working. I can't go on. Well, Jesus promises us here power from on high, power to endure, power to keep going, power to keep on being his witness, power to keep on being like him. It's not power to do whatever we want. His power will always follow his purposes. But when we're in that flow, there is a power that comes, authority, ability, strength, potential of the Holy Spirit on us and in us from him. The word that's used here is receive, which, as we thought, I think it was on day one, about it just can mean to get something, to welcome something, but it literally means to actively take hold of something. There's a power in the Holy Spirit that's waiting for us to grasp, to wield, to use. In our garden, we've recently had some trees that were taken down. They had this awful ash dieback disease, which, if you're from Cardiff, you know is a big problem. And so we had to look into getting a firm to come and take them down, and they've done that now. And I was watching with amazement at the sheer ease and speed at which these guys scaled the tree and began, within moments of being in my garden, of lopping off huge branches. And now there are times when I've got this little tree saw and I've taken off little bits of tree, and it's taken me ages, and the next day my shoulder has told me that I've done it. I've known. But when they've got the equipment and the expertise, it looks relatively easy to do something. And Jesus promises here we're invited to actively take the power of the Holy Spirit. Why would we do it in our own strength when the Holy Spirit is waiting? He's got the expertise, he's got the strength, he's got the ability. He's waiting for us to invite him into a situation and to do it through him, and for him to do it through us. John Wimber, somebody who was mightily used in the renewal movement a few generations ago, he often asked the question of church leaders and of churches: if the Holy Spirit was suddenly to leave the world, suddenly to leave the church, how much of what we do could just carry on without him? And he estimated it would probably be about 95% of our lives and our mission, our ministry, could carry on without the Holy Spirit. Now, obviously, that was a guess, 95%. Maybe it's more, maybe it's less, but it's a scary question, isn't it? How much would we even notice if the Holy Spirit was to leave the church? Now, that's not going to happen. The Holy Spirit, Jesus has promised, will be with us forever. But how much of what we do is in our own strength, is in our own ability? How much are we happy to get on with in our own strength and in our own ability? Tim and I were talking a while ago about when we first started Bethel Live together, the YouTube channel. And I think we found out at the start of the week that we had to go live by the end of the week. And we were thrown into this mad experiment of learning, not just online church, but the online world. And we spoke about that time and how we often would pray together passionately and desperately before each and every time, because we didn't know if it was going to work and we didn't know what was going to happen, and we were clinging on by the sort of the fingertips of our faith. God, if you don't do this, if you don't help us, can we get through it? And as time went on, we noted that those prayer times began to get less and less, get shorter and shorter, and fewer even in number. And that can be a picture of the spiritual life, that there are times when we're clinging on. Holy Spirit, if you don't give me words, if you don't give me strength, if you don't move, if you don't answer prayer, I've got nothing. And other times when we drift into being very self-reliant, it's not the Holy Spirit's power, it's just my own. It's not his authority, it's just the power of my personality, or the fact that I've done this before. How can you and I deliberately put ourselves in that place, like in Ezekiel's vision, where we are out of our depth, where we are having to rely on the Holy Spirit's power? How much can we do without him? And how much are we deliberately deciding to be in a place where it has to be him, where he has to work, and where he has to move? There's a thought for us for today.